The world is changing.
The world is changing, evolving.
Spirituality is evolving too.
We can bring the good things from every religion together.
God is too big to fit into any one religion.
We need to coexist.
We can't get stuck with an old religion.
One religion that thinks it's the only one. It's the only one.
I believe the West is starting to look more and more like the Greco-Roman Empire of the first centuries. In the ancient world, you have all kinds of different pagan religions, from the Eastern religions to the worship of many, many gods. All that is the worship of the earth.
One of the things that sets truthXchange apart is that we expose the lie, and we expose the lie using terms of one-ism and two-ism and concepts of one-ism and two-ism.
When I read the Apostle Paul, who writes to this Roman culture, he says there are two kinds of religions. He says there's the worship of the earth. His words were they worship and serve the creation. Or, and this is the only other possibility, or you worship and serve the Creator who is blessed forever.
Jesus just talked about two. You're either for me or you're against me. You're either on the narrow road or the wide one. Either you love me or you hate me. The old age conflict from Adam and Eve on has been about one or two.
They represent the only two options in terms of religion itself.
In one-ism, all is one. There is no transcendent creator. We become God ourselves.
One-ism promises great things. It promises self-actualization, self-realization. Be your own God.
Ultimately, there's no accountability. When you create your worldview and ultimately you become God, then ultimately you can do anything that you choose to do.
This worldview of one-ism wants to create a world where no distinctions exist anymore.
We have lost distinction between men and women.
God and creation.
Between the sexes.
Between man and God.
Distinction between animals and humans.
Between good and evil.
Creation from creator.
The family unit as a unit is gone.
Everything becomes one, and the beauty of the transcendent God and the Son that He sent to redeem mankind is lost today in a culture of one-ism.
All religions are one.
I am God.
I am God.
We desire autonomy.
We desire autonomy, self-rule.
Everybody wants his own way.
We don't want to listen to truth.
We don't want to listen to the truth or what God says about His world.
There are two paths.
Two paths.
There are two paths.
God's way or man's way.
God's way or man's way.
We either worship the created or the creator.
In two-ism, there is a distinction between a creator and his creation.
Worship of the Creator brings a person into a sense of who he or she is, not as divine, but as a being dependent upon a greater power and authority, namely the God who created heaven and earth.
This creator is not only transcendent, that he is outside of his creation, but he is immanent. He is intimately involved with his creation.
God made every individual, loves every individual, has made each individual different from every other individual, and has given them gifts. And this is what the gospel is founded in.
Two-ism brings the gospel, which brings us the hope of the restoration of everything God created.
If you grasp the definitions of one-ism and two-ism, they are exceedingly practical.
Having the ability to understand the world in a oneist perspective and a twoist perspective allows you to see the common denominator in these movements.
One-ism and two-ism really are a wonderful grid by which to view everything in the world around you.
truthXchange has helped me engage with the culture, with unbelievers as well as with believers.
I've had the opportunity to be able to more clearly articulate those particular convictions that I have in a way that's understandable to someone who might come from a completely different way of viewing the world.
It's such a friendly way of sharing the gospel that actually disarms what some people would just become extremely hostile to you instantly.
You really can understand and approach any issue, any religious practice, anything that enters into your church by asking yourself, does this take into account that twoist aspect of our existence? There is a separate God, and then there is creation.
So when we explain God and who He is through the paradigm of one and two, it becomes a great way to disseminate the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ and at the same time expose the lie of the culture and the lie of one-ism today.
The church is in serious trouble.
We have been deceived.
The lie has permeated our sanctuaries,
our pews.
The lie that truth is no longer absolute.
No longer absolute.
We have believed a lie.
The lie.
truthXchange wants to speak to the culture, but through the church.
We can help you to explain to people what's going on in the culture so that they have a way of discussing this with their unbelieving neighbors that allows the person to enter into a discussion about it. Are you a oneist or are you a twoist?
truthXchange is equipping the church in several ways.
There's tons of resources that we give free on the website. Dr. Jones writes a monthly article commenting on the culture that's going on. We also have books, we have free audio.
We're working on an evangelism tool to be used before the unbeliever.
truthXchange also hosts conferences.
We have a very successful think tank every year. We're trying to reach leaders of every kind.
Then we also are working on doing an annual public conference.
What makes this organization tick is really the passion for the glory of the true God.
I haven't found any other ministry that gets to the point quicker than truthXchange does.
I really believe this organization has come about not only for this country and for this cultural setting, but because it's a biblical message, it's for the entire world.
We are excited about the future of truthXchange, and we're looking forward to many, many more years of service in the kingdom of God.
Our hearts need to awaken to truth. We need to bring the light to our dead world.
Our world needs to wake up.
Wake up.
Awaken to a new perspective.
God's perspective.
We need to exchange one for two.
One for two.
We need to exchange one for two.
truthXchange.
truthXchange.
truthXchange.